Chapter 541, 310, All of Humanity Return to Earth. Hold on at all costs. In just over 10 seconds, Linziken, transforming into a streak of flowing light with his swift speed, arrived at the entrance to the abyss as described by the water god, bringing along Shen King Han. It was a lush, verdant mountain. Halfway up the mountain, there was a cliff. Above the cliff, a waterfall roared continuously. And within the cascading waters lay the entrance to the abyss. "Let's go, we are heading inside." Linziken spoke to Shen King Han, whom he held in his arms. As he spoke, he dived into the waterfall without pause. Once they entered the waterfall, their vision was engulfed in darkness. Deprived of their senses, they could see nothing, perceive nothing. Linziken had experienced this sensation in his dreams. Back then, he had dreamt of being in a space resembling the abyss, swarming with abyss giant butterflies. Upon waking from that dream, his sea of consciousness had mysteriously filled with an abundance of source crystals. Linziken suspected that while he dreamed, he might have traversed to the abyss in the origin land. Otherwise, the appearance of numerous source crystals in his sea of consciousness upon waking was inexplicable. The presence of tangible matter indicated the dream was not a mere figment of cognition but a reality within another dimension. What, in truth, was the abyss? Merely an expanse of unending darkness? And what of the inhabitants within the abyss, such as the abyss giant butterflies? Linziken's mind teemed with endless thoughts. At this moment, the Shen King Han in his arms asked, "Where are we? Why can't I see or perceive anything?" As she spoke, she clung to Linziken tightly, her face riddled with unease. "We're inside the abyss." Linziken explained to her, "This is where the abyss giant butterflies live." The abyss. Shen King Han surveyed the surrounding darkness. She was aware of the abyss's existence. Behind all human cities in the origin land, there was an abyss. The abyss was a life-forbidden zone where even legendary-level experts could perish in an instant if they were the slightest bit careless. As she wondered, suddenly, a scarlet radiance appeared above them. Linziken and Shen King Han instinctively looked up in unison. Then, they saw a group of enormous butterflies circling above them. These butterflies, each spanning several meters in length and over 10 meters in width, emitted a chilling crimson glow, with their mouth parts edged with sharp fangs, giving them a ferocious appearance. Linziken recognized these butterflies as the abyss giant butterflies he had seen in his dreams. Before long, the abyss giant butterflies circling overhead began to disperse light spots the size of grains, lighting up some of the pitch-black darkness. Shen King Han gazed at the light spots, finding them as beautiful as stars, and for a moment, she was spellbound. Only when the drifting light spots were about to touch her face did she snap back to reality and warn Linziken. "We should hurry away, who knows what will happen if these peculiar light spots touch us." Having said this, she tried to leave, pulling Linziken with her. However, Linziken did not move but held her back, telling her, "These light spots are beneficial to us. They can form source crystals in our sea of consciousness." He had previously bathed in these light spots from the abyss giant butterflies in his dream, and upon awakening, found a great number of source crystals had condensed in his sea of consciousness. He thought that it must have been contact with these light spots in his dream that led to the formation of source crystals. This wasn't mere speculation, it had a basis. His parents' entire seas of consciousness were composed of source crystals. And they too had repeatedly experienced the same dream, finding themselves inexplicably in the pitch-dark abyss, bathed in the light spots diffused by the abyss giant butterflies. Hearing that these light spots were beneficial, Shen King Han's unease instantly dissipated, replaced by a mix of curiosity and anticipation. In moments, a shower of light spots fell upon them, seeping into their bodies the instant they made contact. Subsequently, they distinctly felt changes occurring in their sea of consciousness. Parts of the sea of consciousness gradually solidified, forming chunks of source crystals that sank to the seabed. Linziken, sensing the source crystals in his sea of consciousness, triggered the devouring source effect with a thought. You have devoured a vast number of source crystals, obtaining a massive amount of origin force. Origin force has transformed into chi blood and spirit, greatly enhancing your chi blood strength and spiritual strength. Your biological level has successfully evolved from legendary 3rd order great perfection to legendary 4th order. An evolution, indeed. Lin Zikin looked at the prompt in the void, his heart slightly stirred. Other creatures had to endure endless hardship and struggle fiercely to evolve just one level. He, on the other hand, only needed to devour alien races or source crystals to enhance his biological level, as simple as drinking water. What's happening here? Suddenly, Lin Zikin saw his and Shen Qinghan's images in the void that projected the prompt. It was as if he was looking down from a godlike perspective. He was initially bewildered by this. But soon after, he came to his senses and thought of a possibility. He suspected that his current situation was similar to the one Shen Qinghan previously encountered. Her sea of consciousness was connected to the seas of the origin land. And the void within his system might be connected to the abyss of the origin land. Could it be that his so-called system was related to the abyss of the origin land? Was the son of the abyss actually a child of the system? In other words, was he cheating? For a moment, Lin Zikin's mind surged with numerous thoughts. Chapter 542, 310, All of Humanity Return to Earth. Hold on at all costs. _2. Lin Zi, my sea of consciousness really changed, some of the seawater condensed into source crystals and sank to the bottom, and then I felt my spiritual strength increase a lot. Bathed in the light points, Shen Qinghan, after feeling her own spiritual strength, her face immediately lit up with excitement. Upon hearing this, Lin Zikin immediately looked at her and asked, "Does the condensation of source crystals in your sea of consciousness increase your spiritual strength?" "Yes, it increased a lot, significantly." Shen Qinghan couldn't stop the smile on her face, her voice filled with joy. Lin Zikin was immediately confused. Why would the addition of source crystals in Shen Qinghan's sea of consciousness increase her spiritual strength? She doesn't have the devouring source biometric attribute that can convert origin force into chi blood and spirit. Is it because of the water god? Lin Zikin thought of the water god dormant within Shen Qinghan, suspecting that her ability to benefit from the source crystals had something to do with the water god. As he focused on these thoughts, buzz buzz buzz. A series of urgent breaking sounds came from behind. He turned his head to follow the sound. Under the illumination of the light points dispersed by the abyss giant butterfly, Lin Zikin saw a large number of thorny vines, bursting with vigorous life from the darkness, aiming directly at him and Shen Qinghan. The wood god had caught up. Run! Lin Zikin didn't hesitate at all, immediately scooping up Shen Qinghan in front of him, while his chi blood and spirit burst out crazily, fleeing forward at the fastest speed. Ahead was a desolate darkness, invisible and unknown where it led. But with no choice, to avoid the thorny vines attacking from behind, they could only blindly run forward, escaping first and foremost. However, just 2 seconds into their escape, Lin Zikin realized there was no need to run. As he was fleeing, he kept looking back to see how far away the attacking thorny vines were behind him. Then, he saw those thorny vines, under the touch of the myriad light points, instantly withered into decayed wood, losing all vitality. Seeing this scene, Lin Zikin finally understood why the abyss was called the Life Forbidden Zone. Those were the thorny vines of the wood god. Extremely strong. Even now, his strength roughly could match a mythical level creature, but if those thorny vines entangled him, he would be bound unable to move, completely at their mercy. Yet such powerful thorny vines, were now powerless under the erosion of the light points, instantly turning into a pile of dead, decayed wood. Is the Life Forbidden Zone simply the abyss under this name given by these giant butterflies? What exactly are these light points dispersed by the abyss giant butterflies? Lin Zikin looked up at the swarm of abyss giant butterflies above his head, feeling an urge to devour them and see what biometric attributes he could gain. But this urge was fleeting. These abyss giant butterflies above his head were currently aiding him, he couldn't betray their help. Most importantly, he couldn't see through these abyss giant butterflies, unable to explore their biological information, knowing nothing about them. If a real fight ensued, who would live and who would die was yet to be known. Buzz buzz buzz. Another piercing breaking sound echoed. More thorny vines than before swarmed from the outside. This time, the target of these thorny vines was not Lin Zikin and Shen Qinghan, but the group of abyss giant butterflies hovering above. Unfortunately, no matter how numerous or how strong the imbued origin force was, these thorny vines, before they could even touch the abyss giant butterflies, were eroded by the light points dispersed by the butterflies into sawdust, falling to the ground. Afterwards, no more thorny vines attacked from outside, and the abyss became peaceful once again. Having dealt with the intruders, the abyss giant butterflies flew above Lin Zikin and Shen Qinghan's heads. Then, under their watchful eyes, began to disperse more light points. Lin Zi, after absorbing these light points, where shall we go next? Bathed in the light points, Shen Qinghan, enjoying the pleasure of increased spiritual strength, asked somewhat puzzledly. Lin Zikin responded without a second thought, stay here and continue absorbing light points until these abyss giant butterflies no longer provide them. Originally, he had planned to go to various Earth cities and devour alien races, trying to increase his own strength as much as possible. But since he and Shen Qinghan were already targeted by the wood god, he had to abandon that idea. The best option now was to stay in the abyss to enhance his own strength. He just hoped that the abyss giant butterflies would provide an unending stream of light points until his biological level evolved to the mythical level. As long as he evolved to the mythical level, he was confident he could deal with the wood god. Even if he couldn't defeat it, he could retreat at will. Also, he hoped the Earth's strong ones could hold on a little longer, preventing the cities in the origin land from being breached by alien races, thwarting an invasion of Earth. Outside, before the waterfall falling off the cliff, the human-shaped wood god hovered in the air, hands behind his back, a slight frown on his brow, murmuring softly. No wonder the Snow King, once a mythical level expert, perished in the abyss. It's better not to provoke this life-forbidden zone, lest it causes more trouble. Through the recent two probes, the wood god experienced the terror of the abyss, and immediately lost the desire to capture Lin Zikin and Shen Qinghan inside. He guessed, the cunning and deceitful water god had specifically fled into the abyss to lure him in. Rather than risking entering the abyss and being tricked, it was better to stay outside and coordinate with various beast kings to launch a general attack on the cities in the origin land. Then, lead a team to invade Earth, look for the hidden gold origin, fire origin, and earth origin. Once he found these three origins and integrated them into his body, his strength would greatly increase. Afterward, he would go to the abyss to find the final water origin and complete the 5 elements unification. Thinking this, the wood god didn't waste more time probing at the abyss entrance. He decided to immediately coordinate with the beast kings from various places, planning to lead the races of the origin land to invade Earth. Inside the abyss, Lin Zikin didn't know the wood god had already left. At this moment, he and Shen Qinghan were focused on absorbing the light points dispersed by the abyss giant butterflies. As the source crystals in his sea of consciousness accumulated more and more, boosted by the biometric attribute Devouring Source, his biological level quickly evolved to the legendary 5th order. And it was still evolving at an extremely fast pace toward great perfection of the legendary 5th order. This evolution yielded more benefits than devouring several legendary level beast kings. Continuing at this rate, it probably wouldn't be long before he evolved into a mythical level creature. Just not sure how many light points these abyss giant butterflies above their heads could still provide. Lin Zikin pondered inwardly. Meanwhile, Shen Qinghan, not benefiting from the evolution as much as he, had yet to break through her biological level. Her spiritual strength was just continuously increasing. Time passed bit by bit. It was still quiet inside the abyss. But outside the abyss, it was chaos. Under the leadership of the Wood God, nearly all the Beast Kings from the Origin Land were attacking the cities in the Origin Land. In less than half a day, all the Earth cities had fallen. Following the decision of a few mythical level experts from Earth, all Earthlings abandoned the cities and left the Origin Land, fully retreating to defend Earth. P.S. Place bowls, ask for monthly pass recommendations. To evolve to the mythical level inside the abyss. Then, the attack on the Origin Land. Through the abyss, found the way back to Earth. What's the situation? Abyss connected to Earth? Then seeing all sorts of reports, everyone from the Origin Land has returned to Earth. Everyone returned to defend Earth. Earth has domain power suppression. Easier to defend. Earth is the greatest abyss. Great battle on Earth. Nuclear bombs. Mechanically modified humans make an appearance. Writing about the disadvantages of genetic integrators. Genetic fusion, that is the limit, can never beat alien races. The male lead, backed by the abyss, becomes the master of the abyss. Using abyss monsters, he kills mythical level creatures, the world changes color, various strange phenomena, everyone is stunned. Chapter 543, 311, The entire Earth is my sea of consciousness. Only in one day. With the help of mythical level experts like Qi King Mo. Nearly all the Earthlings in Origin Land had withdrawn back to Earth. All biogenous portals were sealed off, blocking the only path from Origin Land to Earth. As for the few who couldn't make it back, they could only fend for themselves in Origin Land. Nanjiang Province, Military District Headquarters. Qi Qingmo, Sima Xiao, Sima Xian, Xian Yuan Wanyu, and Elder Li, several mythical level experts gathered together. The five of them had just come out of Biogenous Portal 36 not long ago, covered in wounds and with chaotic breaths. Among them, Sima Xiao was the most severely injured, nearly losing consciousness. Her affairs with several mythical level experts had been discovered by the Sea God, who targeted her relentlessly, nearly obliterating her in body and soul. Fortunately, Elder Li and Sima Xian, who were her lovers and also mythical level experts, risked their lives to save her from the clutches of the Sea God. A moment later, Sima Xiao regained consciousness after receiving treatment. Upon waking, she opened her eyes and glanced around, finding her surroundings unfamiliar. At the same time, she could clearly feel that her power was greatly suppressed, directly deteriorating from mythical level to legendary level. Connecting these points, she instantly realized that Elder Li and Sima Xian had brought her to Earth. Afterward, she struggled to stand and said to Elder Li and Sima Xian, "How do we return to Origin Land? My kin are in Green Hill's ancient mountain, they will be purged if I'm not there." As she spoke, she deliberately put on a pitiful expression in front of her two lovers, her voice as weak as possible, quite manipulative. Upon seeing this, Elder Li and Sima Xian immediately took the bait willingly. "It's too dangerous for you to go back alone, we will accompany you back to Origin Land and bring your kin to Earth." Hearing this, Xian Yuan Wanyu immediately burst into furious curses, "You two dogs blinded by lust! Willing to reopen the Biogenous portal and put Earth in danger just for a woman, dare to open it and see." Elder Li and Sima Xian ignored her and quickly opened the Biogenous portal, returning to Origin Land with Sima Xiao to bring all the fox women of Green Hill's ancient mountain to Earth for refuge. Xian Yuan Wanyu was so enraged that she was about to take action. Just as she was about to strike, she was stopped by Qi Qingmo who was beside her. "Why stop me?" Xian Yuan Wanyu looked puzzled. The Qi Qingmo she knew was an extremely cold-hearted woman, and in the current situation, Qi Qingmo should have chosen to stop Elder Li and Sima Xian just like her. Qi Qingmo explained, "I also need to go back to Origin Land to find someone." The people she sought were Lin Zikan and Shen King Han. The moment she returned to Earth, she had sensed the entire planet and did not detect the presence of Lin Zikan and Shen Qinghan. She knew their importance. One being the son of the abyss. The other, a vessel for the resurrection of the water god. While ensuring her own safety, it was necessary to go back to Origin Land to find them. Currently, the powerful beings on Earth, apart from a few old beings who survived from the era of the gods, were all genetic integrators following the path of genetic fusion. The path of genetic fusion had a definitive upper limit. No matter how they evolved, their biological level could never exceed the upper limit of the alien genes inside their bodies. They were perpetually suppressed by alien races. As for the mechanically modified humans and the current most advanced technological weapons, they could only inflict significant damage on creatures below epic level, those above that level were virtually impervious. However, Lin Zikan and Shen Qinghan were different, neither of them followed the path of genetic fusion and they each had special inheritances, with no visible cap to their evolution. With these two on Earth, there was hope that Earth might gain 2 more mythical level creatures in a short period. In this way, Earth could have more resistance when facing invasions from alien races of Origin Land. Elsewhere, seeing that Qi Qingmo was also going to follow those 3 back to Origin Land, Xian Yuan Wanyu nearly choked on her rage. However, she did not dare to persuade Qi Qingmo. She knew Qi Qingmo's nature and was aware that persuasion would be futile and might even provoke Qi Qingmo into retaliating against her. She steadied her emotions slightly. Out of curiosity, Xian Yuan Wanyu asked, "Who are you looking for?" "The son of the abyss and the vessel for the resurrection of the water god." Dropping that remark indifferently, Qi Qingmo no longer paid any attention to Xian Yuan Wanyu and swiftly entered the biogenous portal. In an instant, of the 5 mythical level experts left on Earth, only Xian Yuan Wanyu remained. Ah! With a helpless sigh, Xian Yuan Wanyu silently stood guard at the entrance to biogenous portal 36, waiting for Qi Qingmo and the others to return to Earth. During this time, she didn't just stand there waiting idly but continuously commanded the overall situation through special communication means, contacting the upper echelons on Earth to arrange defensive tasks. About half a minute passed. And high in the clear sky, dozens of high-speed flying figures appeared. Their aura was mighty. All were legendary level creatures. The newcomers were either visible leaders on Earth such as province lords and vice-governors, or hidden leaders like the family patriarchs and sect patriarchs. These high biological level Earth leaders, upon landing, immediately called out respectfully towards Xian Yuan Wanyu. "Planet Master! Planet Master! Planet Master! Planet Master X48! Xian Yuan Wanyu, a 7th order mythical level expert at great perfection, was the largest hidden ruler on the entire Earth. All rulers, whether openly or in secret, had to obey her commands. Lu Qingshan, you are in charge of defending the entrance to Biogenous Portal 2. Mo Yuking, you are in charge of defending the entrance to Biogenous Portal 9. Chapter 544, 311, The entire Earth is my sea of consciousness _2. Zhang Yan, arrange the mechanical weapons, distribute the number of machines according to the defense difficulty at each biological channel entrance. Gan Junjia, mobilize all nuclear reserves and prepare for a nuclear strike on the biological channel entrances. Ling Rui, go and handle the evacuation of personnel near the biological channel entrance, and do it quickly. Xian Yuan Wanyu clearly assigned tasks to each of the Earth's upper echelons, organizing the defense work orderly. After receiving their respective tasks, these Earth's upper echelons did not linger on the spot and quickly took off from the ground, flying at high speed to deploy defense work in their designated areas. Xian Yuan Wanyu silently watched them leave, then turned her gaze toward the biological channel entrance in front of her, murmuring softly, "I hope those few are all right." There were already few mythical level creatures on Earth. If Qi Qingmo and others who returned to the Origin Land encountered difficulties, Earth could pretty much be declared prematurely occupied by alien races from the Origin Land. Somewhere in an abyss of the Origin Land, Lin Zikan and Shen Qinghan sat opposite each other in complete darkness, quietly bathing in a vast array of light points, continuously absorbing them for their own use. Initially, only about a dozen abyss giant butterflies circled above their heads, dispersing light points. But as time passed, there were now hundreds of abyss giant butterflies circling above their heads. The light points dispersed by these butterflies gathered together in such quantity that they formed a pillar of light, enveloping them both and transforming them into light. Your biological level has successfully evolved to 6th order of legend. Your biological level has successfully evolved to great perfection of 6th order of legend. Your biological level has successfully evolved to 7th order of legend. Your biological level has successfully evolved to great perfection of 9th order of legend. Time passed, unknown how long. Maybe a few days. Maybe a few months. When Lin Zikan saw the floating prompts in the void, he found his biological level had evolved to the great perfection of 9th order of legend, just one step away from the supreme mythical level creature. Actually reached great perfection of 9th order of legend? Lin Zikan looked at his biological level and his biological information, his face full of incredulity. He could never have dreamed that merely sitting and absorbing the light points emitted by the abyss giant butterflies would cause him to evolve so many levels continuously. What's the need to consume alien races? Might as well just hole up in the abyss and absorb light points. It came effortlessly. He wondered how many more light points he needed to absorb to evolve into the supreme mythical level creature. Lin Zikan thought somewhat excitedly. Thinking so, he looked towards Shen Qinghan. At this moment, Shen Qinghan, like him, was continuously immersed in the light points, absorbing them to enhance her spiritual strength. However, the increase was nowhere near as significant as Lin Zikan's. Absorbing the same amount of light points, her biological level had barely evolved to 3rd order of legend. He briefly observed Shen Qinghan's condition. Quickly, Lin Zikan closed his eyes again and continued to concentrate on absorbing the light points floating down from above his head. But it didn't take long before he felt the light points around him significantly decrease. Confused, he opened his eyes and looked up, only to find that the group of abyss giant butterflies that used to circle above had disappeared without a trace. Lin Zikan furrowed his brows slightly, puzzled about what had happened to make the abyss giant butterflies suddenly vanish. His mind focused, he looked toward the unique void of his system, thinking to view it from a god's perspective to see what the situation was. However, the void was pitch black. Apart from being able to see himself and Shen Qinghan, he couldn't see anything else. Lin Zi, where are the abyss giant butterflies? Why can't I see them anymore? Shen Qinghan opened her clear eyes, took Lin Zikan's hand, and asked with a hint of unease. With the disappearance of the abyss giant butterflies, there were no more light points to illuminate the surrounding darkness. Deprived of the light points, the two of them were now in pitch darkness, unable to see or perceive anything. I don't know either, those abyss giant butterflies had almost zero vitality left in their bodies, no breath at all, I didn't even notice when they left. Lin Zikan shook his head and said. As he spoke, his frown deepened. Without the illumination of light points, he was completely engulfed in darkness, unable to see anything, not even the exit. This left him somewhat at a loss for a while. Shen Qinghan was equally baffled, her voice filled with anxiety. Lin Zi, it's pitch black now, we can't see anything, what should we do next? Lin Zikan didn't know what to do either. He couldn't see anything and was afraid of making the wrong move. Just then, the pitch black surroundings began to rapidly recede as if ink sliding off a canvas, vanishing at a speed visible to the naked eye. In just a few seconds, their dark environment brightened, and all the surroundings instantly came into view. When they could see the environment clearly, Lin Zikan and Shen Qinghan were both somewhat stunned. The two were on a high mountain. In front of the mountain was a massive, modern city. Moreover, an incredibly familiar city. Shanghai City. Lin Zi, have we returned to Earth? Shen Qinghan rubbed her eyes, doubting whether she was hallucinating. They were clearly in the life-forbidden zone of the origin land just a moment ago. How could they suddenly appear on the familiar Earth so quickly? Could it be some unknown influence causing hallucinations in her brain? Shen Qinghan had this question, and Lin Zichen did too. But everything felt too real, not like an illusion at all. Every blade of grass in front of their eyes, brimming with vitality, gave off a distinct plant aroma. The soil underfoot was especially real to the touch, not like something fabricated. What exactly is going on here? Lin Zichen had this question in his mind. With the doubts in his mind, Lin Zichen spread his spiritual power to perceive as he triggered Eye of the Sky to look around the environment. After perceiving and looking for a long time, he found nothing unusual. After a moment of contemplation, Lin Zichen finally spoke, "Let's go home and see whether this world is real or fake." Since they couldn't tell right now, they might as well treat it as real for the time being. Quickly, Lin Zichen scooped up Shen Qinghan, took off from the spot, and with a flash, turned into a beam of light and flew towards their home. They had barely flown less than a kilometer when suddenly, Lin Zichen abruptly stopped, holding Shen Qinghan motionless high in the air, his expression completely astonished. He shockingly discovered that his system's unique void had turned from dark to a God's view map of Earth. P.S. Asking for monthly passes. This book, actually, ended the moment the male and female leads grew up. The rest of the story, I wrote with great difficulty, then gradually wrote more perfunctorily, mostly without much thought, going with the flow. If it were other authors, many probably would choose to abandon it. But even if I slack off, I'll still responsibly finish it without abandoning, which is probably my only good trait. Back to the content of the book. Actually, the correct way to write this book was not towards a martial arts city direction but towards an eternal life direction. Simply put, by advancing the timeline quickly in the writing. For example, after the male and female leads grow up, don't slow down the passage of time but continue to speed it up. In just a few 100,000 characters, write about the main characters getting married, having children, gradually aging, surrounded by descendants, and generation after generation. Meanwhile, write about various evolutionary geniuses trying to prove themselves as mythical level creatures, one after another falling, becoming insignificant dust of the times. Ah, it's a pity not to write it this way. Last but not least, I really like the female lead Shen Qinghan. I really like the female lead Shen Qinghan. I really like the female lead Shen Qinghan. She is my favorite character I have created in over 3 years of writing. Well, not sure what else to say. I'll just mention the new book. It's an original unlimited stream. If nothing unexpected happens, it should be released on December 1st. I hope my dear readers will support it then. Chapter 545, 312, Earthquake. The Great War between two realms erupts. The massive mechs, as tall as skyscrapers, stood silently on the ground, their cold metallic luster glistening. The dark muzzles, the gun barrels, all were loaded with ammunition, aimed in the same direction. A large number of mechanically modified humans, their bodies covered in biological alloy, stood guard in every corner, their technological eyes intently watched the entrance to the bioportal, ready to launch an attack at any moment. Under Xian Yuan Wanyu's arrangements, Earth was fortified with weapons at every bioportal entrance. If alien races from the origin land breached the barriers and invaded through the bioportal entrances, the surrounding weapons could unleash a barrage of firepower, striking a fierce blow to the intruders. At the entrance to bioportal number 36, Xian Yuan Wanyu sat in the lotus position on a tall platform, resting with her eyes closed, preparing for the battle that could erupt at any moment. Suddenly, she opened her eyes, as black as ink, and fixed her gaze on the entrance to bioportal number 36 below. She sensed an extremely powerful energy fluctuation coming from inside the bioportal. Among them, 3 energy fluctuations were familiar. They were elderly, Sima Xian and Sumai Xiao, the three mythical level experts. Aside from the three of them, there were also numerous complex and weak energy fluctuations intermingled. If nothing unexpected happened, it was probably the Green Hills Ancient Mountains fox women that elderly Sima Xian and Sumai Xiao successfully brought over. However, Xian Yuanwanyu dared not be completely certain it was as she suspected, considering it possible that the alien races from the origin land were attacking and elderly Sima Xian and Sumai Xiao were fleeing. With this concern in mind, Xian Yuanwanyu immediately mobilized her origin force and said to the people below, "There's an extremely strong energy fluctuation surging up beneath the portal entrance. It could be Elder Li and the others, or it could be alien races from the origin land. Everyone, prepare for battle." Upon hearing this, everyone guarding the portal entrance instantly tensed up, their nerves on edge. Approximately half a minute later, the bioportal entrance trembled violently. Then, three figures, cloaked in traces of blood-red light, shot out from inside at high speed. It was Elder Li, Sima Xian and Sumai Xiao. All three of them were injured, but it didn't seem serious, the wounds appeared to be superficial. After the three of them emerged, quickly, hundreds, maybe thousands of fox women walked out from the bioportal. Each fox woman had a graceful figure and a beguiling face that left many men on the scene besotted. Faced with the gazes of Earth's men, each fox woman's face showed a bit of apprehension and unease, but even more curiosity. "Look at that fox woman in the purple dress at the front, her beauty is out of this world. Yet, she's even more gorgeous than many celebrities. That body ratio, perfect as if drawn on paper like an anime character, is just too ideal." Many took note of Sujuja, the most strikingly beautiful among the fox women, and they were amazed, as if they had never seen a woman so beautiful. Sujuja glanced at these Earthmen, their eyes filled with disdain. Then, while radiating her spiritual power, she looked around, seeking Lin Zikan. She knew almost all Earthlings had withdrawn from the origin land back to Earth. She wanted to see if Lin Zikan was here. But soon, her disappointment set in. Lin Zikan was not here. She didn't know if he was still in the origin land, not yet returned, or if he had come back through another bioportal. Xian Yuanwanyu, help find a place to settle these Green Hills fox women. Sima Xian approached Xian Yuanwanyu and spoke. Xian Yuanwanyu had always disdained the fox women of Green Hills Ancient Mountain, viewing them as parasites to men. Hearing Sima Xian make this request, her heart bristled with irritation and she said coldly, "Find it yourself." Seeing her reaction, Sima Xian knew she had strong objections and didn't press any further. Instead, he turned to Elder Li to figure out how to settle the fox women from Green Hills Ancient Mountain. With arrangements made by the two mythical level experts, the fox women near bioportal number 36 soon orderly departed from there, heading elsewhere. After the fox women were far away, Xian Yuanwanyu expressed her disdain. "These fox women reek of musk, it's truly nauseating." Many around her heard the remark. But inwardly, they all disagreed. "Musk? Where does it stink? It's incredibly fragrant." If anything, they were dying to bury their faces in it and breathe deeply. Many men on the scene thought this. Xian Yuanwanyu was unaware of what the men around her were thinking, nor did she care. At this moment, most of her thoughts were on Qi Qingmo, silently watching the bioportal entrance, hoping Qi Qingmo would return soon. Earth's mythical level experts were few, and the loss of even one would be catastrophic. If Qi Qingmo were to encounter misfortune in the origin land, Earth would be in deep trouble. As Xian Yuanwanyu worried, suddenly, a slender and graceful figure burst forth from the bioportal entrance below in an instant. Xian Yuanwanyu fixed her eyes and realized that the person was Qi Qingmo, whom she had been worrying about. What's going on? How did I not sense her energy fluctuation? How did she do it? As she watched Qi Qingmo suddenly emerge from the bioportal, Xian Yuanwanyu was utterly perplexed and somewhat shaken. To her understanding, it was unthinkable how a mythical level creature could completely conceal their presence. This was too extraordinary. Chapter 546, 312, Earthquake. The Great War between two worlds breaks out, _2. You should know that the higher the biological level, the stronger the presence one naturally emits. At the mythical level, it's basically very difficult to completely conceal one's aura. Xian Yuanwanya was just slightly curious and didn't dwell too much on this issue. Because she knew that no matter how much she pondered, it would be hard to get an answer in a short time. She also knew that if she asked Qi Qingmo wouldn't answer. After all, this involved the privacy of one's own strength, akin to a trump card level secret. Nobody would be that generous. Understanding all this, Xian Yuanwanya collected her thoughts and looked towards Qi Qingmo, asking, "Didn't find the carriers for the Son of the Abyss and the revival of the Water God?" "No," Qi Qingmo shook her head. But as soon as she had spoken, her expression changed slightly, and looking up at a patch of sky in front of her, she corrected herself, "Didn't find them in the origin land, but found them on Earth. In the sky above." Lin Zikin was completely dumbfounded. He couldn't understand how the pitch-black void in his system, which was suspected to be the abyss of the origin land, suddenly turned into a bird's-eye view of Earth. Had the location switched? While questioning, suddenly, Lin Zikin's peripheral vision spotted something odd about the clouds below. Looking from afar, these clouds looked like the abyss giant butterflies circling in the sky. And below the clouds, a small mountain hundreds of meters tall stood erect on the ground, resembling a coffin standing upright on the ground. The plants on the mountain, distinct in their density, the denser parts vaguely formed 4 characters. Son of the Abyss. Seeing this scene, Lin Zikin couldn't help but have a shocking suspicion. Could the abyss in the source points, the so-called life-forbidden zone, possibly be the Earth he had always lived on? At the thought of this possibility, a storm of shock surged in Lin Zikin's heart. This speculation, this possibility, seemed too preposterous. The deathly still abyss in the origin land and the lush Earth he was currently viewing didn't seem like they could be the same place in any way. But the clouds beneath his feet, that mountain under the clouds, and the clear-cut trees on the mountain, all revealed traits of the abyss. Lin Zikin fell into deep thought for this reason, unable to come up with a reasonable explanation for a while. He felt sure that this couldn't just be a coincidence. There couldn't be such an improbably perfect coincidence in the world. The abyss in the origin land and the Earth he was currently on must have some kind of secretive connection. Lin Zi, why aren't you saying anything? What's wrong? Shen Qinghan, nestled close, watched Lin Zikin remain silent, her face filled with unease. Lin Zikin came to his senses and reassured her, "Don't worry, it's nothing. I was just thinking." "Thinking about what? Do you remember how you could see me in your sea of consciousness before?" I remember. I was the same before, I could see you and me in my sea of consciousness, and we were in the abyss at the time." "Really? You could too?" "Yes, truly. At that time, I thought my sea of consciousness should be able to connect to the abyss, just like your sea of consciousness can connect to the ocean." "That's amazing." Shen Qinghan's eyes shone. Lin Zikin continued, "But what's even more incredible is now, through my sea of consciousness, I can view the area we're in, which is to say, I can see the Earth through my sea of consciousness." Actually, he wasn't seeing through his sea of consciousness, but through the void of the system. But the system was hard to explain to Shen Qinghan. It wasn't that he didn't want to explain, but that it was hard to explain. Rather than taking the time to explain to Shen Qinghan about what the system was, it was better to just say it was through the sea of consciousness, which would save a lot of time. You can actually see Earth through your sea of consciousness, and particularly this region we're in now. Shen Qinghan was shocked, then with gleaming, dewy eyes, she said, "That sounds a bit like a car's 360-degree camera system. No matter where you go, you can always get a bird's-eye view of your location in your sea of consciousness. A car's 360-degree camera system? No, that's not right at all. The view seen through the system's void was fixed, it didn't change with his location moving. Just then, SSSHHHK. A crisp tearing sound rang out. A meters-long crack suddenly appeared in the space before Lin Zikin. Then, Qi Qingmo, clad in a Taoist robe, gracefully stepped out from the crack. When did you two return? Qi Qingmo quietly looked at the two of them and asked. Her voice sounded cool but not the least bit estranged. Especially towards Lin Zikin. During the time she had just revived from the bronze ancient coffin, she was nearly powerless, completely reliant on Lin Zikin's blood transfusions for survival. Having had such an experience, she had long considered Lin Zikin one of her own. So there was no reason to be distant with him. We just got back not long ago. Lin Zikin replied calmly. Hearing this, Qi Qingmo felt puzzled. All biological channels on Earth had been sealed off this morning, how could they have returned not long ago? Feeling puzzled by this, she immediately asked Lin Zikin, all biological channels on Earth have been sealed off since this morning, how did you return to Earth? Lin Zikin replied, I don't know. Following the water god's suggestion, I took Han Han and escaped into an abyss, stayed there for a while, and then mysteriously found ourselves back on Earth. All these strange occurrences. Qi Qingmo frowned slightly, at a loss for explanation. Previously in the Origin Land, when outnumbered by the indigenous powerhouses, she had also sought refuge in the abyss several times. But having gone in so many times, she felt that aside from pitch darkness, there was nothing there. Could a place so deadly silent, where nothing can be seen or sensed, really transport someone back to Earth? Qi Qingmo was skeptical. But she knew Lin Zikin's character and thought that he wouldn't lie to her about such things. And indeed, Lin Zikin had not lied to her. While the three conversed suspended in the sky. Boom! 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 The previously tranquil land suddenly erupted with ear-shattering noise. The source of the noise was from the entrance of biological channel number 30. There, intense vibrations were occurring. Then, the attack from Origin Land commenced. The Earth was the largest abyss. Through the abyss, they found themselves back on Earth. High above. What's happening? The abyss is connected to Earth? Then seeing, various reports, all of humankind from the Origin Land has returned to Earth. P.S. Begging bowl out, vote for a monthly pass. This book, in truth, should have ended the moment the male lead and female lead grew up. The story that followed, I wrote very painfully, and then gradually it became very perfunctory, writing without much thought, just jotting down whatever came to mind. If it were other authors, many would probably choose to abandon the story. But even with how sloppy I am, I would still finish the book rather than abandon it, and that might be my only good point. Back to the content of the book. Actually, the correct way to write this book wasn't towards a city with advanced martial arts but towards one with immortality as the theme. Simply put, it meant letting the timeline continue to move forward quickly. For example, after the main characters grow up, don't slow down the passage of time, but continue to speed it up. In just a few 100,000 characters, write about the main characters getting married, having children, aged gracefully, surrounded by offspring, then countless descendants, generation after generation. At the same time, write about the various evolution geniuses, struggling to prove themselves as mythical level creatures, one after the other falling, becoming mere specks of dust in the epoch. Ah, it's such a pity not to have written it this way. Finally, one very important matter. I truly like the female lead Shen Qinghan. I truly like the female lead Shen Qinghan. I truly like the female lead Shen Qinghan. She's been my favorite character that I've written in over 3 years of writing. Well, I don't know what else to say. Let's talk about the new book. It's an original copy of the Infinite genre. If nothing unforeseen happens, it should be released on Dis. Chapter 547, 313, Wood God descends upon Earth. A great battle is imminent. Realizing that a massive number of alien races from the origin land were attacking the biological passageway, both Lin Zikin and Qi King Mo's complexions changed slightly. The former was worried about his family, and the latter hadn't expected the alien races from the origin land to act so quickly. Pavilion Master, I need to go home to check on my parents, we'll talk more later. After hastily dropping this line, Lin Zikin instantly turned into a streak of light, taking Shen Qinghan with him as they sped towards the faculty residential area of Shanghai University. In less than a second, Lin Zikin appeared in front of his own house and set down Shen Qinghan in his arms. As soon as the two of them landed, they each went to check on their respective parents. Entering his home, Lin Zikin saw his parents looking out from the balcony. His parents at home had also heard the commotion from the direction of the biological passageway. The noise from there was substantial, accompanied by a mild earthquake, which nearly all residents of Shanghai City could distinctly feel. Many residents had run out of their homes, fearing the earthquake would intensify, leading to the collapse of buildings. Lin Yanzheng and Zhang Wangzhen didn't run because the buildings in the faculty residential area of Shanghai University were made of extremely high-strength special steel materials, which had strong earthquake resistance and no fear of earthquakes. Xiao Chen, why are you back? Seeing her long unseen son, Lin Zikin, suddenly return, Zhang Wangzhen, who was holding Lin Ziying, was very surprised. Beside her, Lin Yanzheng, noticing the serious expression on Lin Zikin's face, couldn't help frowning and asked, "You look pale, and you've suddenly come back home, has something happened?" Lin Zikin cut to the chase, a large number of alien races are invading Earth, and it may not be long before Shanghai City falls. I've come back to take you away. Hearing this, both Lin Yanzheng and Zhang Wangzhen's complexions changed slightly. The only one unchanged was Zhang Wangzhen, holding Lin Ziying in her arms. At the moment, the young girl only knew to suck on her thumb while nestled in her mother's embrace, her watery big eyes curiously looking around. "Mom, Dad, we're leaving now." Hearing the growing commotion from the biological passageway, Lin Zikin didn't say anything more and was ready to leave with his parents and younger sister. Zhang Wangzhen was very efficient, immediately handing her treasured daughter to Lin Zikin with the words, "Hold your sister for a moment, your father and I will pack the luggage." Lin Zikin took his sister and said, "You don't need to pack, I'll handle it." After saying this, with just a thought, he instantly stored all the items in the house into his storage space. Lin Yanzheng and Zhang Wangzhen had never seen such a miraculous sight and immediately widened their eyes, thinking for a moment that they were seeing an illusion. Lin Zikin didn't explain much to his parents and quickly carried his younger sister Lin Ziying to the neighboring house, using the same operation to help Shen Qinghan quickly pack the luggage at light speed. After doing all this, Lin Zikin and Shen Qinghan rose into the air on the spot and, using the method of telekinesis, flew at high speed with their families towards Capital City. Capital City was the capital of Zhuzhou, and there was the best refuge in all of Zhuzhou, and even the world, so placing the parents there was more reassuring. In the high sky, the flight speed of Lin Zikin and Shen Qinghan was extremely fast. Sparks were frictiously spread through the air wherever they passed. Under normal circumstances, their family members, being ordinary people, couldn't withstand such high-speed bear flying. But at that time, they were all covered by a faint layer of blood chi power. It was this layer of blood chi power that well protected their bodies, allowing them to withstand high-speed bear flying. The young Lin Ziying, watching the swiftly passing scenery below, along with the surrounding snowy white clouds, excitedly kept babbling, her watery big eyes crinkling into crescents, laughing very happily. Soon, Lin Zikin and Shen Qinghan had settled their families at the refuge in Capital City. There was not a single obstacle. Everything went very smoothly. The names Lin Zikin and Shen Qinghan were well known in all the high levels of Capital City, no one was unaware. Just with a simple word from them, they could arrange for their families to enter capital city's refuge without needing to go through any procedures. By comparison, even the current president of Kyoto University needed to go through various processes and quotas to secure a place for his family. After settling their families, Lin Zikin didn't stay long at the refuge. He swiftly took Shen Qinghan to check on the 3 biological passageways located in capital city, to see if they were being crazily attacked by the alien races from the origin land, just like the passageway in Shanghai City. In just a short while, the 2 of them had inspected the 3 biological passageways. Soldiers were stationed at the entrance to each, ready to open fire at any moment. However, inside the passageways, it was quiet, with no signs of being breached by alien races from the origin land. Lin Zikin took Shen Qinghan and left capital city to inspect the biological passageways in other regions. They checked over a dozen of them in succession. They found all inside the passageways to be quiet. After conducting their checks, only biological passageway 36 had been breached by alien races from the origin land. Were they concentrating their forces to breach a single biological passageway? But with so many biological passageways on Earth, why choose biological passageway 36? Could it be because passageway 36 was located in Shanghai City, and Han Han was born in Shanghai City? Then the wood god suspected that the water god had hidden the 3-5 elements origins in Shanghai City? Lin Zikin thought it was very likely for this reason. Otherwise, there was no reason for the wood god to ignore so many biological passageways and focus on breaching passageway 36. Lin Zi, where do we go next? Back to Shanghai City? Shen Qinghan, who was soaring alongside him, asked. Lin Zikin replied, yes, back to Shanghai City. I am only one step away from evolving into a mythical level creature, and I need to devour a large number of alien races from the origin land to aid my evolution. Chapter 548, 313, Wood God descends upon Earth. A great battle is imminent, _2. Shen Qinghan knew Lin Zikin would say that. Lin Zikin, who could devour alien races to grow stronger, would definitely be at the front line of the battlefield. After hesitating for a moment, Shen Qinghan said, should we go later, after the war starts? We could observe the situation first before entering. She was cautious by nature and wanted to wait until the situation on the battlefield was clear before harvesting. Lin Zikin knew what she was worried about and said calmly, there's no need. The domain power on Earth can suppress the alien races by cutting down their strength. Even if mythical level aliens come, I can handle them. Seeing how confident Lin Zikin was, Shen Qinghan didn't say anything more. She trusted Lin Zikin's judgment. She had absolute faith in Lin Zikin. Her belief was to voice her concerns to Lin Zikin and suggest ideas, but whether Lin Zikin listened or not, she chose to follow his lead. This was the experience they had accumulated over 20 years of living together, and it was definitely right. After they decided to return to Shanghai City, soon, the 2 burst forth their spiritual power, transforming into red and blue streaks of light, flying towards Shanghai City with a speed imperceptible to the spirit. Shanghai City, above biological passage number 36. When Lin Zikin and Shen Qinghan arrived, the entrance of the passage was already filled with cracks, looking as if it would burst open at any moment. Accompanied by bursts of deafening impact sounds, and distinct sensations of trembling. Everyone at the entrance to the passage was on high alert, ready for the big battle. Lin Zikin glanced below to roughly gauge the situation and quickly flew with Shen Qinghan towards Qi Qingmo. Before they got close, Lin Zikin felt a suffocating oppression coming from ahead. This pressure was from Qi Qingmo and Xian Yuanwanyu next to her. Currently, Qi Qingmo and Xian Yuanwanyu, the planet master, were hovering above the entrance of the biological passage. Both mythical level experts had mobilized all the energy within them, ready to unleash their full power at any moment. Master! Master! Lin Zikin and Shen Qinghan slowly landed in front of Qi Qingmo, each called her respectfully. Qi Qingmo looked at them and asked, is your family settled? Lin Zikin replied, yes, they're settled in the shelter in capital city. That's good, Qi Qingmo said indifferently. As Qi Qingmo and Lin Zikin talked, Xian Yuanwanyu curiously sized up Lin Zikin and Shen Qinghan. She knew that these two were the so-called son of the abyss and the vessel for the revival of the water god, and she was curious to explore their bodies. Lin Zikin, feeling scrutinized, frowned slightly and looked towards the scrutinizing Xian Yuanwanyu. Xian Yuanwanyu was surprised, she hadn't expected her discreet scrutiny to be noticed. Qi Qingmo also noticed and looked at Xian Yuanwanyu disapprovingly. Don't you know it's offensive to pry into someone's biological information? Xian Yuanwanyu reined in her thoughts and smiled, sorry, I couldn't help it. Seeing Qi Qingmo standing up for him, Lin Zikin felt an increased sense of belonging to the Tianren Pavilion Lord. The Pavilion Lord truly protected her own, this Tianren Pavilion was worth joining. No, calling her Pavilion Master was too impersonal, he should call her Godmother instead. Just as Lin Zikin was thinking these things, a man with graying temples arrived, hovering in front of Xian Yuanwanyu, and asked, Planet Master. Other regional biological passages haven't been impacted. Should we relocate the corresponding troops here? This was an elder from a capital city evolutionary family, a high-order legendary expert. He had been observing for a while. Seeing that only biological passage number 36 on Earth was being assaulted by alien races from the origin land, he believed that it was unnecessary to disperse forces across all the passages, considering it a waste. The right approach would be to concentrate forces here to deal with the situation. Regarding the elder's suggestion, Xian Yuanwanyu responded with a stoic expression, no need, we have enough strong fighters here, enough to handle the first wave of the attack. The biological passages in other regions are calm for now, but no one can guarantee they will stay that way. So, not a single stationed force should be reduced. After speaking, Xian Yuanwanyu turned her head towards Qi Qingmo and asked, Master Qi, what level is your strength exactly now, and do you have a chance of contending with the wood god on this home ground of earth? Without hesitation, Qi Qingmo answered, contending won't be a problem. The issue is, the biggest threat from the wood god is that he can make his side immortal. Hearing this, Xian Yuanwanyu was taken aback, not expecting such a resolute answer from Qi Qingmo. She realized she had underestimated Qi Qingmo's strength and thought this madwoman's strength must far surpass hers and those two sycophants. But how did this madwoman enhance her strength? Everyone was roughly at the same capacity level back then, stuck in the same realm for thousands, even tens of thousands of years. How did she manage to break through? Xian Yuanwanyu was puzzled. Boom! Suddenly, a loud explosion sounded. At the moment of the sound, biological passage number 36, already covered with cracks, instantly exploded into fragments scattering through the air. Following that, a massive green thorny vine shot up into the sky, appearing before everyone. Before anyone could react, countless crimson buds rapidly grew on the vine and burst open instantly, releasing a large amount of vibrant pollen. As soon as the pollen appeared, it spread across the entire sky, floating down towards the people below. When the pollen fell, it sparkled like starlight, incredibly beautiful. However, at that moment, no one dared to admire this beautiful pollen. Everyone knew that behind this beauty, lethal danger was hidden. Buzz! A huge roaring sound erupted. The moment Xian Yuanwanyu saw the pollen, she instantly unleashed origin force to create a powerful air current, which quickly sucked in all the falling pollen into one mass, then ignited a flame to burn it completely. But the next second, several loud booms were heard. Countless thorny vines shot up into the sky, just like the previous massive green thorny vine, rapidly growing buds which burst open, releasing a great amount of life-filled pollen. Seeing this, Qi Qingmo reacted instantly to assist Xian Yuanwanyu in clearing the pollen. Lin Zikin and Shen Qinghan, upon seeing this, swiftly followed suit. However, there were too many thorny vines, and too much pollen was released. It was impossible to clear them all in a short time. Many grains of pollen, which slipped through the net, landed on the ground. Upon touching the ground, these inconspicuous pollen grains rapidly took root, sprouting and infiltrating deep into the earth, growing crazily at an astonishing rate, and transformed in an instant into various bizarre exotic plants. There were skyscraping giant trees hundreds of meters tall. There were vine plants crisscrossing like spider webs. There were weeds continuously emanating deadly toxic fumes. In just a flash, the modern cityscape of Shanghai City in one moment turned into a dense primordial forest in the next. Then, under the shocked gazes of everyone, a massive sky-reaching giant tree erupted from the shattered biological passage, shooting up into the sky, casting the entire primordial Shanghai City into shadow. The wood god had arrived. Those who touched the pollen, with biological levels below rare level, started to exhibit problems. Many people's bodies sprouted directly, turning into nutrients for the exotic plants. Chaos reigned. Everywhere, there were exotic plants. The modern city had instantly turned into a dense primordial forest. Then, Qi Qingmo noticed, the domain power had weakened. The home field advantage was gone. The major battle was imminent. Chapter 549, 314, The Great War Between Two Realms. Modern nuclear strikes against Yuan land alien races. The wood god has come. Upon seeing the green-robed elder, Qi Qingmo and Xian Yuan Wanyu slightly furrowed their brows, and their faces instantly became grim. Neither had anticipated that the first alien race from the origin land to invade Earth would be the wood god. They also hadn't expected that the wood god would possess a means to diminish the power of the domain. With this development, the home field advantage on Earth was completely gone. On the other side, Lin Zikan, not hesitating for a moment, quickly led Shen Qinghan away from the battlefield. His current biological level was only at 9th order great perfection. If he were facing an ordinary mythical level creature, he would still have the confidence to confront it. But now, facing the wood god, an ancient deity from the origin land who far surpassed any ordinary mythical level creature, he was acutely aware that he was nothing but an ant in the presence of such an ancient deity. Unless he evolved to mythical level, and the domain power of Earth against the alien races from the origin land was restored, he would not give the wood god another glance. Boom! An earth-shattering blast resonated. The very next second after Lin Zikan turned to escape with Shen Qinghan, Qi Qingmo and Xian Yuan Wanyu behind him were already clashing with the wood god. Then, 3 huge rifts tore open in the sky above. Elder Li, Sima Xian, and Sumai Xiao stepped out from the rifts and immediately joined the battlefield, forming a situation of 5 against 1. But soon, as a steady stream of alien races from the origin land emerged from the biomorphic channels, the Lord of Silence, Elder Tree, the Flower God, and other strong beings from the origin land appeared, promptly reversing the situation. Under the ever-sustaining blessing of the wood god, the strong beings from the origin land were like crazy suicidal attackers, catching the strong beings on Earth off guard. Fortunately, the strong beings from Earth quickly adjusted and began to exploit their technological advantage, initiating various large-caliber weapons. In an instant, the entire area was ablaze with gunfire, and the sound of explosions that shook the earth and mountains continued without end. At a glance, the situation was barely balanced, with neither side gaining a clear advantage. But as time stretched on, the scales of victory began to tip in favor of the wood god. With the ever-sustaining blessing from the wood god, the strong beings from the origin land were practically undying. Even if their fleshly bodies were reduced to rubble and charred remains from the gunfire, as long as they could receive a trace of the wood god's vitality, they would be instantly resurrected in full health. This won't do, the wood god's everlasting blessing is too unbeatable for us. If we continue like this, we'll eventually be exhausted to death. Sumai Xiao frowned and said, we must restore Earth's domain power and weaken the effect of everlasting, otherwise, there is no hope for victory. Upon hearing this, Xian Yuanwanyu immediately retorted, "Everyone knows the problem, we don't need your reminder. The key is how to solve it." She had always had a large grievance against the Mountain Lord of Green Hill's ancient mountain, deep down feeling that she was nothing but a seductress without a shred of dignity. Meanwhile, Qi King Mo said, "Clear all the exotic plants from this area and see if we can restore Earth's domain power." Upon hearing this, everyone began to take action, releasing wide-area lethal abilities to purge the exotic plants from the area. The weakening of Earth's domain power began after the whole of Shanghai City turned into a primeval forest. If the current exotic plants in the city were cleared, perhaps Earth's suppression of the alien races from the origin land via domain power could indeed be restored. However, as simple as this solution sounded, it proved to be incredibly difficult in practice. Under the effect of everlasting, the exotic plants rooted in the ground were also undying. Even turned to ashes, they could instantly germinate anew, rapidly growing into lush exotic plants. And so, about 10 minutes passed. The battlefield was already showing a one-sided situation. Under the origin land aliens' frenzied, suicidal attacks, whether genetic integrators, mechanically modified humans, or mech suits, all suffered destructive hits and heavy losses. Wails, howls, sobs. Various desperate sounds instantly filled the entire battlefield. Seeing this, Xian Yuanwanyu made a remarkably bold decision. She mobilized a whisper of origin force to strengthen her vocal cords and shouted to all the commanders below. Nuclear cleaning of the battlefield. All below epic level, retreat. All mechanically modified humans, retreat. Xian Yuanwanyu planned to clear all the exotic plants from the ground instantly with a nuclear strike. She knew that even if the plants on the ground were reduced to ashes in the nuclear explosion, they could be revived swiftly under the blessing of everlasting. But that didn't matter. What was important was that the nuclear strike could easily destroy the exotic plants below epic level, and their revival would surely consume the wood god's vitality. Though powerful, the wood god's vitality couldn't possibly be infinite. Constantly reviving exotic plants, the vitality would eventually run dry. With this understanding, Xian Yuanwanyu intended to use the swift, wide-area destructive power of a nuclear blast to deplete the wood god's vitality as quickly as possible. As long as a significant amount of the wood god's vitality was drained, Earth would have a chance for a desperate comeback. As Xian Yuanwanyu's voice fell, the mechanically modified humans and soldiers below epic level on the battlefield all showed a slight change in expression as they evacuated the battlefield immediately. For a moment, a massive number of mechanically modified humans soared into the sky, densely fleeing the battlefield like raindrops. As these mechanically modified humans evacuated, each strove to carry one or more genetic integrators without the ability to fly, helping them quickly withdraw from the battlefield. Chapter 550, 314, The Great War Between Two Realms. Modern nuclear strikes against origin land alien races, _2. It was just a few short seconds. On the vast battlefield, only the epic level experts and above remained on Earth's side, along with machines scattered all around that could deploy nuclear weapons. In the distance, tens of miles away from the center of the battlefield, stood a skyscraper. Lin Zikan and Shen Qinghan stood on the water tower atop the skyscraper's roof, observing the situation on the battlefield from tens of miles away. A battlefield with the entry of mythical level experts was very dangerous. Conversely, there were also many opportunities, with the potential for a large number of alien bodies to be produced in a short time. Lin Zikan, who was only one step away from evolving into a mythical level creature, couldn't give up this opportunity. He decided to stop at this skyscraper with Shen Qinghan, observing the battlefield from afar, looking for chances to take advantage of any situation. Lin Zi, the military is about to use a nuclear strike. Should we leave this place? Shen Qinghan said somewhat nervously, knowing the power of nuclear weapons and worrying that she and Lin Zikan might be affected by the blast. Lin Zikan calmly replied, "We are both legendary level creatures now. Even if we were at the center of a nuclear explosion, we would be unharmed, so there's no need to evacuate. That's true. Shen Qinghan's voice still carried a hint of unease. Although textbooks mention that once a creature reaches the epic level, it can withstand a nuclear explosion. Still, she was somewhat apprehensive. After all, the explosion of a nuclear weapon was too terrifying. With a very strong visual impact, it didn't seem like something that a creature of flesh and blood could withstand. Buzz buzz buzz. In the sky ahead, a series of piercing whistling noises suddenly reverberated one after another. Looking in the direction of the noise, Lin Zikin saw large groups of mechanically modified humans, trailing flames, speeding toward the direction of the skyscraper. These were some of the mechanically modified humans retreating from the center of the battlefield, with most of them carrying one or more genetic integrators flying rapidly. Under the blessing of the Eye of the Sky. With just one glance, Lin Zikin noticed several familiar faces among this group of mechanically modified humans. The genius mechanical girl Lu Qingyu. A female genius he had encountered during special military training Zhu Shishi. And a senior he had met when he joined the martial arts team in junior high Zhang Kaizi. These three were now members of the Machine God group. As the distance closed quickly, the three of them soon noticed Lin Zikin and Shen Qinghan on the skyscraper. Among them, Lu Qingyu and Zhang Kai slowed down and landed in front of the two. What are you two doing here? As soon as Zhang Kai had finished speaking, and without waiting for a response, he immediately added, the battlefield has decided to deploy nuclear weapons to clear the area. You two should leave quickly and stop crowding around here. As soon as he finished speaking, Lu Qingyu spoke up, let me take you two out of here. My counterflow propulsion device is the latest model, capable of burst speeds comparable to a middle-order rare-level fighter. Lin Zikin replied calmly, thanks for the offer, but there's no need. Both of us have evolved to legendary level and can withstand a nuclear blast. What? Legendary level? Zhang Kai and Lu Qingyu widened their eyes, full of disbelief, looking as if they had seen a ghost. Having never left the origin land, they were not aware of what was happening elsewhere and did not know that Lin Zikin and Shen Qinghan had already evolved into legendary level creatures. Ziai Chen, you're joking, right? Zhang Kai, still disbelieving, continued, you're only how old this year, just around 20, right? How could you possibly have evolved into an epic level creature? Faced with skepticism from an acquaintance, Lin Zikin didn't waste words. He simply willed it and released the immense pressure characteristic of a legendary level creature to prove it. The powerful pressure spread out, immediately making Zhang Kai and Lu Qingyu collapse to the ground, their insides filling up with fear of high-order creatures. He really is legendary level. Lin Zikin has truly evolved into a legendary level creature. What's going on? How did he manage it? After feeling the intensity of the pressure that Lin Zikin released, Zhang Kai and Lu Qingyu were in shock, their minds in turmoil, unable to comprehend what was happening before them. In their understanding, rare-level fighters were already people of distinction. Epic-level experts a notch higher were dominant lords who could scorn the whole world. As for legendary-level experts, they were the true rulers of a country, living fossils who had lived for hundreds, thousands, or even tens of thousands of years. Yet Lin Zikin and Shen Qinghan in front of them were only about 20, how could they possibly have evolved into legendary-level fighters? It was utterly unrealistic. Seeing them still in a daze, Lin Zikin urged in a faint voice, the nuclear blast is starting, you should leave now. Don't worry about us. Hearing him, the two quickly came out of their stunned state. We'll leave then, be careful. With those words, Lu Qingyu immediately rose into the air and, under the propulsion of the latest edition of the counterflow propulsion device, her body instantly became a remnant shadow disappearing into the distance. Seeing this, Zhang Kai didn't linger. He briefly bid farewell to Lin Zikin and Shen Qinghan before also activating his propulsion device and flying off. Boom! Not long after the two had left, the center of the battlefield erupted with a resounding explosion that shook the earth. Lin Zikan and Shen Qinghan immediately looked towards the sound, and what came into view was a gigantic mushroom cloud that spread across the entire sky. Before they could comment on the power of the nuclear explosion, the next second brought the sound of dozens of similar explosions. The center of the battlefield instantly saw the rise of dozens of huge mushroom clouds. Looking from afar like an apocalyptic scene, blocking out the sky.